Hey everyone, welcome to a new Tuts Plus tutorial. I'm Adi, and in this video you'll learn about Flexbox ordering and reordering. Now this is video number 2 of a 3-part series we're doing on Flexbox, and if you want to find the others, make sure to check out the links in the video description. There is a lot to learn about Flexbox, and we covered it in detail on Envato Tuts Plus. Anna Monis wrote this fantastic series of 3 articles on the subject, and if you prefer a written version, I highly recommend you check those out. If you're more comfortable with video, then stick around for this one because you're going to learn things like the difference between ordering and reordering, how the document's writing direction affects ordering, and also you'll learn about reordering and accessibility. All right, I think we should jump straight in. But before we do that, I want to quickly tell you about Envato Elements. With one subscription, you'll have unlimited access to assets like fonts, mockups, CMS templates, and more. There are millions of digital assets to choose from. They have simple commercial licensing, and you can cancel anytime. Subscribe now using the link in the video description. All right, now back to Flexbox. Before moving on, I recommend you check out the first video in this series where I talk about Flexbox alignment. You can find a link to it down below. In that video, I go more in depth about how items are being laid out using the 2 axes. As a summary, it goes something like this. Flexbox is a one-dimensional layout model that uses 2 axes, a main and a cross axis. Flex items are laid out on the main axis, and the cross axis is always perpendicular to this. Now, the order in which these items are laid out by default is the order of the source code, as you can see in this example. Here's the cool part. We can change the direction of the main axis by using the flex direction property. It has 4 possible values. Row will lay out the items from left to right, row reverse from right to left, column will lay out the items from top to bottom, and column reverse from bottom to top. Now, you can add a whole new level to this by wrapping items on multiple lines with the use of the flex wrap property. This has 3 possible values: no wrap, wrap, and wrap reverse. With this property, you're basically controlling the default ordering on the cross axis. Is that a bit too confusing? Let me show you a demo. We have a flex container that contains 9 flex items. In CSS, on the flex container, we have display set to flex and flex direction set to row. So as I just said, flex direction row will list items from left to right horizontally, just like that. Now, because the items are overflowing the parent container, we can wrap them by using flex wrap wrap. So now these items will go on multiple lines. If I'm going to change the flex direction to column, then the main axis is now vertical and the cross axis is horizontal. In which case, to see the wrapping in action, you would need to set a min height, or actually, let's just set a height to the container of about 30 rems. So as you can see, the items are now displayed on multiple columns instead of multiple rows because our initial flex direction is set to column. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Also, in the previous video, I told you about a shorthand, the flex flow. That will basically replace flex direction and flex wrap. So you say flex flow, row, wrap, or whatever values you want to use. Cool. Now, what's up with ordering in Flexbox? As I was saying, The default order in Flexbox is the order in which items are written in code. So here we have items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in ascending order. But I can, for example, make this item 3 and this item 1. That doesn't really matter. Flexbox will respect the order from our source code, and it's going to lay out the items in this order. Of course, taking into consideration the flex direction or the direction of the main axis. So in this example, our main axis is horizontal and it goes from left to right. And therefore, the items go left to right. And then subsequent lines created by the wrapping property again start from left to right. So this will make more sense if I just bring these back to their original position. We have 1, 2, 3, next line 4, 5, 6, and so on. So this is the default order in which Flexbox lays out all of its flex items. Now, earlier I also said that with the wrapping property with flex wrap, you're basically controlling the default ordering on the cross axis. In our case here, the cross axis is vertical, right? So the order is this: 1, 4, 7, 2, 5, 6, 3, 6, 9. If I were to set the wrapping or flex wrap to wrap reverse, well, the order would then be upside down. So from bottom to top, we would have 1, 4, 7, 2, 5, 8, 3, 6, 9. So I hope that makes sense. All right, so that's basically how the default ordering works in Flexbox. And before we move on to reordering, I just want to make a quick mention about the writing direction of the document, because this will directly affect the ordering or the default ordering inside Flexbox. Because, again, the main axis will follow the writing direction of the document. Let me show you what I mean. Now, by default, when you're creating an HTML document, the direction is set LTR, or left to right, right? So any text that you render here will be displayed left to right. Same goes for Flexbox. The main axis, by default, goes from left to right. Now, if I were to go to the body and use the direction property, and I were to set this to RTL, or right to left, this will reverse the direction of the main axis. This will go from right to left as well. Therefore, the order in which items are rendered is also from right to left. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. The exact same goes for the writing mode. Now, the writing mode dictates how block content is being displayed. Is it horizontal, top to bottom, or is it vertical, left to right or right to left? These are the three possible values. So by default, the value for writing mode is horizontal TB, so horizontal, top, bottom. But I can set this to vertical, left, right, or right, left, and you can see that the layout now changes. And by doing this, the direction of the main axis is also changed. The main axis is now vertical, and it goes from bottom to top. If the direction here was LTR, the direction of the main axis would be from top to bottom. So as you can see, the main axis in Flexbox will always follow the document's direction and writing mode. So you need to be careful about that when you're creating layouts with Flexbox that use different properties than what you're used to normally. So normally, of course, the writing mode is horizontal, so we don't have to worry about that, and the direction is left to right. And in this case, working with Flexbox is very straightforward. But if you find yourself in a position where you have to create or code a website in a language that needs to be displayed in a right to left direction, then you need to keep these changes in mind. All right, so we've learned about ordering in Flexbox. That's the default way in which items are being rendered. Reordering means changing the order in which items are being rendered visually. Okay, the code remains the same, that's untouched. What we can change is where specific items should be displayed. And we do that with the use of the order property. The definition goes like this. The order CSS property sets the order to lay out an item in a Flex or a grid container. Items in a container are sorted by ascending order value and then by their source code order. As a value, it can have an integer number, and by default, it's set to 0. Now, let me show you how you can use this to visually reorder Flex items in a Flex container. I have a simple demo here, 9 Flex items. They're each rendered exactly like in the source code, from 1 to 9 ascending, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've also highlighted these 2 items, 2 and 6. I want to change their order. So, remember the definition? Every Flex item has a default value of 0 for its order. So, for example, if on the second child here I say order -1, that's going to be displayed before any of the other elements because this is the lowest value. The code remains exactly the same. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. But visually, these are rendered 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. If I were to write 1 here, the item will be placed at the very end of the pile because all the other Flex items have the order of 0, and this one has the order of 1. So it's the biggest one, it gets placed at the very end. That's it. It's super simple. Now let's say we want to change the 6. We go in here and we say order, let's put 2 on this one. So this will actually place it after item number 2 because its order is higher than that. If I set this to -1, it's going to be put back in the pile because we have -1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and then 2. That's it really. It's very, very simple. Just remember, the order is a property that is used on a Flex item. It accepts an integer, which can be negative, and the default value is 0. All right, so before we wrap up this tutorial, I just want to quickly mention something about reordering and accessibility. Reordering doesn't work for people who use assistive technologies like screen readers, because reordering in Flexbox only works visually and the source code remains intact. Screen readers or people who use keyboard navigation will use that source code. And that will lay out the items in the default order that is written in the source code. So that's why reordering doesn't work for people that use assistive technologies. All right, time for some key takeaways. Number 1, the default order of items in a Flex container is determined by the source code and the Flex flow. meaning the flex direction and wrapping. Number 2, the writing mode or direction of the document directly affects the direction of the main axis. Number 3, you can reorder flex items visually by using the order property on individual elements. Number 4, the order property doesn't change the source code of the elements, only their rendering. And finally, number 5, reordering doesn't work for people that use assistive technologies. Alright, that's about it for this video. Don't forget you can also check out the original tutorial written by Anna Monis, and you'll find a link to that down below. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Adi, and until next time, take care.